All right, Coach Lance here with CFSJ Inside the Box, the workout for when you can't be inside the box. Again, all of these workouts are designed to be accomplished in an 8-foot by 10-foot space, so whether you're in a hotel or a living room or whatnot. I'm going to go through an equipment list in just a few minutes. You'll be able to see them down in the scroll. Any other questions should be linkable or they will be explained as we go on. So here's the equipment now. Go ahead and pause me. Go ahead and grab it. Let's get it going. All right, now that you've got your equipment together, let's go ahead and get started with some light cardio. If you have access to a treadmill or whatnot, go ahead and use it. We're going to go for about 2 minutes. If not, we're going to do 15 in-place burpees, doing a step back and a step forward, something pretty light. Just like the name implies, don't push the shoulders too hard on the first couple of reps. First 5 are going to be very slow, making sure we alternate legs each time. Continuing on just a little bit faster. And go ahead and give me 9 more. Day 3 hero shot. 2. All right, now that we're finished up with that cardio, we're going to begin our opening sequence with a very advanced version, the overhead Cossack. If things aren't working out, don't be so hard on yourself. Realize this is just to open you up for something down the road. So I'm going to demonstrate the full version and then break down into each one of its regressions. Follow along with me. We're going to do 10 total. Even if you do all 10 perfectly, just keep going. So starting with the hands overhead, lunging out, planting the foot, opposite leg is going to turn up, and I'm going to drop right into a squat. This is much, much harder than the typical Cossack. Now, if this isn't doing it, we're going to widen the stance out, and we're going to go into a side lunge, back up to the center, side lunge, back up to the center. And if this is still a little too difficult, side lunge with the hands down. All right, so this should be our 6th rep. I'm going to go back to the overhead Cossack for our last 4. And it gets much easier from here. Next is a sumo stance hamstring stretch. So we're going to go nice and wide. You're actually going to bend the knees slightly, grabbing for the toe and widening the foot. That is going to be 1 repetition. We're going to go 10 total. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to go directly into some sumo squats. So we're going to bring the feet in. Toes are going to point out, almost like I'm pressed against a wall, and my toes have to be pointed out so I can get my chest close to it. You're probably, this early in the day, not going to be able to get as deep as you can. You can mess around with the stance. It doesn't have to be to your absolute widest, but this is not going to be an A to G grab squat. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And probably just like the purpose of a warm-up, you will start to notice your movements getting better. Last, we're going to finish off with 10 pigeons. If pigeons are a little too much for you, I'm going to have you go on your back in a figure 4, bringing the shin to chest, each side, 5 total times. For the rest of us, we're going to start from a plank, Drive the heel to the sky. Bring it down for a deep breath. To the plank. And so on for 10. Last 2. All right, let's go ahead and shake it out, grab a drink, and get ready for that activation. All right, now that we're back from that, we're going to work on the activation to get our muscles ready for the strength and the WOD portions that are going to come right after. Today's activation has 3 different movements: an inchworm to all the way out, tuck crunches, and side plank with a clamshell. All very reminiscent of 80s jazzercise. The inchworm to all the way out does not include the push-up. It's a reverse core where an inchworm is normally a hamstring exercise. We're going to go out as far as we can, hold it, and bring it back in. There are only going to be 5 of these, so take your time. Don't go so far out that you actually flatten against the ground and have to pick yourself back up. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, 5. Inchworm to all the way out. Two. 3. 2 more. 4. And our last one for 5. Next are going to be the tuck crunches. It's fairly similar to a V-up or a hollow. You're going to start with the chest off the ground, back in full flatten, and then from here, as if I were going to do a V-up, I'm going to slide the hands forward, bring the knees back to my chest, lift my chest for here. If you're doing it well, which that was not, I'm going to end off in a boat pose. Good. And you can either flatten, grab a breath, or stay active at the bottom. And we're going to go for 10. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go. 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, if you mess up, at least you're not on video. 9 and 10. All right, giving you a few more seconds to finish that up before we move on to the split plank with clamshell. So our side plank. Just like a normal side plank, we're going to go in elbow position, not long lever. Knees are going to be slightly bent, knees stacked on top. I'm going to try to keep my chest parallel to a wall in front of me as opposed to leaning myself back. And from here, I think of Pac-Man. And we're going to do 15 of these. So when you're ready, 3, 2, 1, go. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And let's go ahead and flip it over. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, knees are bent, knees are stacked. Elbow under shoulder, chest is going to stay parallel. And the modification for this would either be the hand in front or the hand in back. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, give yourself a few seconds. We're going to do one more round of this. Either pause or rewind, and we'll meet you in the strength portion. All right, today's strength is all lower body all the time. We've got 2 movements that we're going to superset every 3 minutes. The first is going to be single leg staggered Romanian deadlifts. Very similar to a single leg deadlift, but we're keeping that back leg on the ground as support. It's going to look something like this. Done with a kettlebell or a dumbbell, keeping close to the body, staggered and split. Coming down to about an inch or 2 above the ankle and pushing back up. Shoulder blades are going to stay pulled back. Now, if this is just a little bit too easy, like in my case, I just have such a light weight, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift that back leg off the ground, still keeping it hovering, and try to incorporate some balance into this. So we're going to go 8 right and 8 left. I'm going to start on my left side. You're free to start on left or right, but we're going to go, we've got a 3-minute superset, and we're going to start now in 3, 2, 1, go. Stagger that leg back. Bring down to roughly the bottom of the shin. Four, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, if you are doing a lighter single leg with the back hovering, the balance trick, of course, is finding a focal point that your eyes don't leave, spreading the toes, grounding through the feet, and controlling movement by tightening the glutes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And our superset move is going to be right into a glute bridge. I'm going to prep like I would for a sit-up. I'm going to bring my heels close to my butt, a little bit wide of my hips. I'm going to bring my shoulder blades together and push my hands directly through the floor. I'm going to raise my hips up until my glutes cannot squeeze anymore. Back down and just a touch. So don't relax at the bottom, don't lose tension. We're going to do 12 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, that should give us just about a minute left. Your next supersets will probably be a little faster, but take your time on these Romanians. Go ahead and slow on the way down, slow and controlled on the way up. Don't look at this like a WOD and don't just try to get through these. These are 2 very basic, straight ahead movements, so exploit them for all that they can give you. And again, like always, you can rewind and follow along or pause and we'll see you again at the walk. And now that we're back from our strength work, we're going to discuss today's workout. It's a 4-rounder of unilateral movements. That means that we're going to work one side then the other. We're looking for equal performance in both. It's 4 rounds of a workout called Clueless. 16 single arm sumo deadlift high pulls, 15 side plank lifts, 16 push press, and 15 side plank hip lifts. What that's going to look like is all of our 16 movements are going to be 8 and 8. So the single arm sumo deadlift high pull, much like a clean pull, we're going to start with the bell right in front, hips come back. Now, my weight's pretty light. I could probably just muscle this thing up, but what I'm looking is transferring from the hips to the shoulder. Chest stays up, popping with the hips. I know that I'm doing it right because the bell actually pushes into my hand when my shoulder stops. So I'm going to go 8 right and 8 left. And now for that side plank hip lift. Again, unilaterally, I'm going to start elbow directly under shoulder, feet, knees, legs stacked, trying to keep my chest from rolling open or rolling closed, lifting the hip up, past the point of what a straight line would be, back down, touching. So there are going to be 15 of these. You'll do the other side after the next movement. All right, so last movement of the day is going to be a single arm push press with the dumbbell. Now we have 16 of these, so of course 8 and 8. Again, like the sumo deadlift high pull, I'm looking for hips to do majority of the work, not necessarily the arm. I'm going to keep my feet under my hips, belly button tight, rotating those knees out instead of forward with a quick dip and a drive. And then switching to the other side. All right, now that we have all those movements accounted for, to recap the workout, we have 4 rounds. First movement, 16 single arm sumo deadlift high pulls, 8 right and 8 left. Next movement, 15 side plank hip lifts off the right side, going into 16 single arm push press, 8 right and 8 left, finishing off that round with 15 side plank hip lifts on the left side. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to get your stuff in order, get your clock, tell you when to start it, give you 10 more seconds, and we're going to get started now in 3, 2, 1, crush it.